Welcome to Amanda Hall Psychic. Here on Facebook Live, we have our weekly presentation of our mini workshop series. I hope you're having an absolutely awesome week as we count down to the festive season. Here in Australia, things are getting quite exciting. We've had some major weather events in the last week where we've had lots of rain and bushfires and you name it, we've had it. And so we're starting, I think, to settle into sort of the lead up to Christmas now. For those of our Northern Hemisphere viewers, I'm sort of a little bit envious. I don't like the cold, but I really do get envious when I see all the beautiful Christmas lights and the snow and everybody singing Christmas carols and really getting into the spirit. We don't quite do it in the same flamboyant way here in Australia. We're a little bit more laid back than that, but I really do enjoy the magic of Christmas and the joy that I think it brings and the hope for the future. So this week we're going to be working with our workshop number 44, which is the new moon in Cancer. So before we get going, let's do some T's and C's. This is not a show where I do free readings. It is a workshop series where I endeavour to share with you some of my knowledge of being in the psychic industry for over 40 years. My name is Amanda Hall Psychic. I live here on the Gold Coast. I've been in the psychic industry, as I said, for over 40 years, been inducted into the Psychic Hall of Fame, and for the fourth year in a row I was voted Psychic of the Year here in Australia. So this show is about learning to work with the energy of the full moon and the new moon and different other energies relating to the psychic areas of our lives that we touch on a different topic each week. This week it's the full moon in Cancer. We are up, as I said, up to workshop number 44. So I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you and thank you for joining us again. We have many regular viewers from around the world, and I'd like you to just pop your name in the comments column and say hi, where you're from, maybe what's your favourite part of Christmas, and I will get back to you in the next 48 hours. I don't give shout outs during the presentation. I like to try and keep focused on the topic at hand. And that way I think it makes it a little bit more palatable to watch. For those of you that are regular viewers, you know that I'm fairly straight to the point and direct, and it's sort of the way that I like to be. I'm happy to answer a question after the show if it relates to the show. I will not, under any circumstances, and I repeat, under no circumstances, will I answer a question that is of personal nature or is in any form, shape or size connected to a reading. If it's a question about, you know, a certain thing connected to the full moon or the Cancer element of the show, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy to answer that. But under no circumstances will I be giving away free readings. For those of you that might want the opportunity to have a free reading, I do a previous show to this here on Facebook, and it goes on all forms of social media with the A1R Psychic Radio Network out of South Carolina, Greenville in South Carolina, which starts approximately half an hour before this. So if you're here in Australia, it's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're in the US, it's 5 p.m. on the Tuesday. Now, next week will be the Christmas show. Here in Australia, it will be the day after Christmas or Boxing Day. I won't actually be doing the workshop, but I will be doing a half an hour of live free readings on my show on A1R Psychic Radio as my Christmas gift to the world. So if you want to get in, I suggest that you message them on A1R Psychic Radio early on that day to get in for your opportunity to have a free reading. So I repeat that again, it's A1R Psychic Radio here on Facebook. Go onto their page. You can see there all the details of how to put your name down for a reading. I will be doing mini readings on the show free on Christmas Day in the Northern Hemisphere or the day after Christmas here in Australia. So let's get the show on the road today. I'd like to welcome everybody and joining us here. If you want to join up for our free newsletter and be eligible for a free astrology chart, it's www.amandahallpsychic.com.au, and as you log into the website, you'll see a little flashing box. Fill your details in there, and that will get in contact with you shortly about how to go about getting your free chart. Okay, so we're working with the full moon. Now, the full moon is something that happens every approximately 28 to 30 days. It's something that happens regularly throughout the year. But this one is particularly interesting because it's the full moon in Cancer. So even though you may not have any great knowledge of or understanding of astrology, let me take you through some of the basics. Each planet or each energy or each luminary has a house or a home that it feels comfortable in. By that I mean it rules a sign, and it feels comfortable when it goes back there. It's like going home. So the moon actually rules or feels comfortable in the sign of Cancer. It's the sign that it rules. So with the full moon going back into Cancer, the full moon is actually, oh, good, I'm home. I can breathe, I can exhale. So it means that it's going to be a very powerful full moon. And let's get down to some dates. Now, the date of the full moon, and I know there's been a number of different people have written different things on all forms of social media, but the method that I use and the ephemeris and everything that I follow, it is actually stated it will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. No matter where you are in the world, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now, this does encompass Christmas Day, so it's something that we all need to be aware of. Now, I like to work with 2 days prior to those 3 days and 2 days after. So that will take in Friday, Saturday in the lead up, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in the full moon, and then the wind down Wednesday, Thursday. So the full moon is a time of the month where we gather up everything that has become full. If we imagine the moon goes through the month where it slowly starts adding a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more power, a little bit more intensity, a little bit more emotion or whatever, until it becomes full. It's like adding, droplets of water into a bucket. Eventually the bucket becomes full. It's either going to overflow or we need to start emptying it. We need to release some out of it so we can add more to it. Well, that's exactly what the full moon does. The moon is full, so we need to start releasing. Now, anytime we start to release something, it's not just always what we've gathered in the last 30 days. It can be things that we've gathered over the last few months, the last year, or the last 20 years. It's a culmination of things that we need to release. So we need to look at what are the things that we need to release. And when we're going to be releasing something, I always like to sort of start to look at filling that gap back up. So if we're going to take a list and we're going to start writing down a list of, say, 3 things that we want to release, that might be the minimum. You might have 23 things that you want to release. That's perfectly fine. 3 things that you want to release. You put them on your list, and then you look at underneath that, putting down 3 things or the equal amount of what you've released of things that you're hoping to attract into your life. Now, at this time of the year, I think it's important that we release the things that have emotionally sort of probably drained us the most, or the things that have come to a completion. It's time to release and let those go with love and light and truly mean it. Don't just be flippant about it and say, oh, I'm getting rid of that or I'm releasing that because somebody's told me I should. You have to truly believe in your heart of hearts that this is the time for you to release this energy. So if we were working with the full moon, then we've got 3 things that we might be releasing. We might be releasing anger over an argument that we had many, many, many years ago with someone in the family. And we sort of think, well, that's really silly. It's Christmas time. Isn't it time to release and let go of that angst, that anger, that whatever? That person's going to be at the family Christmas gathering and I don't want it to be continuing on. Let's just sort of see if we can release that energy, and I'll be the bigger person on Christmas Day, that I'll walk up and say, good morning, good afternoon, lovely to see you, Merry Christmas. And hopefully that will set the tone for that to be sort of completed and gone. Sometimes that's a little bit of a hard ask. Sometimes, we just can't do that. But we've got to be mindful of the fact that there's other people in the room and it's not just us. We have to sort of look at the much bigger picture here. Anytime we're talking about anything connected with Cancer, we're always talking about emotions. Now, the Cancerian energy is a water energy. It's a fluidy sort of energy because it's sort of something that sort of says, okay, I really sense and I really feel my emotions on every part of my being. The main aim for the Cancer energy is to feel emotionally secure. Now, sometimes they can be seen as being manipulative in their way of trying to achieve this emotional security. At the end of the day, that's all they're trying to achieve, is this feeling secure in every possible way. Cancer rules the sign of the crab, and sometimes, they're seen to be going sideways to actually be moving forward. But the ultimate goal is this emotional security. Don't don't put the cancer energy up on a pedestal and say it can't be manipulative, because it can be. It can be manipulative, it can be secretive, it can do things in a way that isn't necessarily upfront to achieve everything. But the ultimate goal is trying to find emotional security and to create a happy home. That's their main objective. So that doesn't necessarily excuse secretive or deceptive behavior, though. So when we're looking at the full moon energy in Cancer, and we're particularly looking at it falling in a holiday season as it is this year, we have to be mindful of the fact that this is going to invoke a lot of emotional energy there that maybe people thought had long been buried. So I'm going to suggest to you to take your patience with you on Christmas Day. Make sure that you don't have too much Christmas cheer and then all of a sudden your mouth flies open and the words come tumbling out, and once they're out you can't retract them and you end up in World War III in the family, because that's the last thing that we want. But I want you to also be mindful that there's other people that may be attending this year's family Christmas that might have things that have gone on in their lives that they haven't shared with other family members, that they may be carrying some burdens or some losses and some sorrow in their heart that they're not ready to talk about, or really is no one else's business except theirs. So let's be mindful of that. First and foremost, can I put it this way? There will always be at the Christmas table somebody that was there last year that isn't there this year, or somebody that was there 20 years ago that isn't there this year. So be aware that because the full moon lands on Cancer over the Christmas holidays and the Christmas festivities, this wound will seem even more intense than normal, because it's that time when we really sort of start to think back. I mean, loss is loss. Whether it's a recent loss or it happened 30 years ago, it's still loss. We still feel that emptiness inside where we sort of feel that nobody else understands. Everybody else has got their party hat on and having a great time, and why do I feel so miserable inside? And why am I missing that person so terribly? If people were really truthful, they would be explaining to you that they feel exactly the same way about different things that have happened in their lives as well. So it's a time when we need to be mindful for something like that. If somebody seems to be, they're deep in thought and sort of not smiling and sort of just staring at a candle or staring out the window, and you sort of feel, oh gee, I should fill that time up, I should go and talk to them, maybe just give them a moment or two to be in that moment so that they can do their reflection, do their little bit of whatever it may be, the remembrance or whatever, and then they're ready to join in the festivities. At the same time, please be very mindful of, fizzy drinks and alcohol over the festive period, because it does loosen tongues. And with the loosening of tongues, quite often then people start to talk about the things that have been festering away inside for many, many years that they've sat on and never spoken about. Everybody's pleased to see each other in the morning and have a couple of fizzy drinks, and then all of a sudden a little bit more said and a little bit more said, and before you know it, we've got a major war on our hands. It's not the time to air family grievances like that. It's the time to sort of try and mend fences, I believe, with this full moon. So let's try and be mindful of that with each other. So if we were going to be working with the full moon in the usual regular way, we would be sort of actually writing a list of, say, 3 things that we want to release and 3 things that we might need to attract in our lives. So we would start working with our full moon candle in our Cancer candle, and then we'll work with the full moon candle. And the reasons why we do this, we write the list of the 3 things that we want to release because the full moon energy is in Cancer. We would then pop the list underneath the candle, popping the candle on a coaster, never directly on the furniture, because the glass container does actually get hot and it could scorch the furniture, and we don't want that to happen. We have 2 wicks in our extra large candles. I like one day and one the next day. That just gives you a longer burn time and stops the glass container from getting as hot as it could. This is the correct procedure of the writing and the releasing of the energy that we want to let go of, and also the attracting of the new energy. We burn a candle for approximately 15 minutes to 2 hours a day. That helps create our intent, purpose and direction. I would also write the exact identical list and place it underneath our full moon candle. Same principle, 2 wick situation. Again, popping it up, the list underneath it before you light it, 15 minutes to 2 hours a day, depending on how much time you've got. For those of you that want a smaller candle, we have our travel set, which is falling out today, which is in this one I've made up with the 2 water sign candles and a full moon candle in the middle. You can choose any of the 27 from our range to make up your travel kit. These will burn for approximately 15 hours each. And they're a much quicker way of, or you know, if you've got a limited space, of being able to work with your full moon energy. For those of you that don't want to work with the energy of a flame, you can pick up a melt warmer at your supermarket or your department store. These retail for around about $15. They have a little button on the side that you can turn it off at the end of the day. Again, the same principles apply, writing your list out, popping it underneath, reading it out aloud. This you can leave on all day in your home or at your work. You start it off with two teaspoons of the full moon, 2 teaspoons of your water sign, adding a half a teaspoon a day for the 7 days. And then to get the wax out of that when it's completed in this hot weather, I pop it in the freezer for a couple of minutes, and then you can easily get a plastic knife underneath it, lift out the soy wax, dispose of it in the trash, and then wash it out with hot soapy water, let it cool down, and then you're ready to start again with whatever candle wax that you want to do. So that's how we work with the energy of the candles. You might say to me, Amanda, I don't have your candles and I haven't got time to get them. How can I do something for the full moon? Use whatever candles you have around the house, no matter what they are. Just focus on the fact of when you're holding the candle in your hand, shut your eyes and try and infuse the energy into the candle of this being your full moon in Cancer candle, and just use it for the full moon in Cancer. Doing the same principle, lighting it for 15 minutes to 2 hours a day, and being mindful of what you're trying to attract in your life. Now, before we go any further, next week I will not be bringing you a live Facebook mini workshop, as it is Boxing Day here in Australia and it'll be Christmas Day overseas. I won't actually be doing a workshop next week, but I will again reiterate, I will be doing my live show on A1R Psychic Radio. It's at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Australia, 5 p.m. USA time, Eastern Time US. If you check underneath this little promo there, it should have the times then of when the actual show. You take half an hour off it, you'll find when you can log in for that. And I will be doing free readings on the show for half an hour for people that are lucky enough to get in first. So I hope you have a very, very, very Merry Christmas and you have a very safe and happy holiday season. Please take care on the roads. Be kind to each other. Make sure you take your patients with you, whether you're out Christmas shopping, you're out partying, you're out visiting friends and relatives and just having a good time. Make sure that you're kind to each other and remember your smile. A smile goes a long way. There's a lot of people that actually don't like Christmas because they don't have anybody special or significant to share this magical time of the year with anybody. And it's sometimes just that little smile, taking the time to say hello, how are you, that makes the difference between their life being so very lonely and very sad to something that, you know, brings a smile to their face. So for those of you that, you know, really are going to embrace this festive season, can I suggest keep your Christmas music going? I have Christmas music going constantly. I alternate between David Cassidy and the Partridge Family, John Farnham and Olivia Newton-John, and anything else that I can find for good measure. But they're my two favourites this year, is David Cassidy and the Partridge Family singing Christmas carols, and of course David's Christmas EP that he made not long before he passed away. So I just love Christmas. I love anything to do with Christmas, and any sort of Christmas musical song really brings a shine to my heart. But I really do believe that it's the time of the year where we can be joyful and we can be mindful of others, and we can really embrace what the message of Christmas is. And it's not about going to the shops and spending huge amounts of money. It's about a smile. It's about being kind to one another. It's about taking the time to sit down and have a conversation with somebody, have a cup of tea with someone, just have a little chat. You know, show you're interested in them. That's what the joy of Christmas is about. And the magic, of course, for children, and the excitement of Santa coming, and, you know, and I just love the magic of all of that. I mean, you know, I'm a little girl at heart. I still believe in Santa, and I know that if you've been a very, very good girl or boy, Santa is going to bring you something extra special this year under the tree. So again, no show, no workshop next week, as it is Boxing Day here in Australia, and I won't be on the Gold Coast, but I will be performing a live show on A1R Psychic Radio half an hour before this show normally airs, where we will be doing an extra special Christmas show, where the whole show for the half an hour I will be performing free readings for all of our viewers around the world. So if you want the opportunity to do that, I'd suggest you check that out, A1R Psychic Radio here on Facebook, and follow the prompts on how to get a free reading. Merry Christmas to everybody. Safe travels. Whatever you do, make sure you put a smile on your face, and please share the Christmas message of joy, hope, and a big smile. Bye for now.